Alright, progress. Cooling fan assembly's out. That's the new radiator there. And it does come with new intercooler clips for the oil lines for the transmission. Got the old ones out in this pan right here. Weren't too difficult. Had to put some pliers on the lines and jiggle them to get them to come out. They were stuck in there. That's transmission fluid in that pan down there. It's not coming from the pipes, it's coming from the radiator itself. Got little rubber bushings you had to pry back. Wasn't too difficult, so you had to remove the engine mounts. Engine shifted back. I'll show you how to fix that later. And this removed 4 bolts on the top here, and the fan assembly just slid right out. All I gotta do now is disconnect this little bracket here for the AC lines. Had to remove the entire air filter assembly. That's the computer for it right there. Engine control module, ECM. That's it right there. That sits inside the air filter housing. A couple bolts in the housing slid up, so I could, because the bolts for the radiator are kind of long. It should be up here somewhere, which I can't feel at the moment. I thought I stuck them up here. I don't know. They were up there, but they were long, so they didn't. So that was in the way. Remove the battery too to access the bolts. What I gotta do now is tilt it some more. Just remove the bolt that holds the AC lines, the air conditioning lines to the side of the radiator. And I should be able to just pivot this up. A little bit of foam insulation. New one doesn't come with that. But I'll go ahead and pry this up. Slide the new one in. Probably rebolt all this together. Then I can work on replacing the thermostat. Put the new water pump in. Put the new serpentine belt in. Alternator in the back here. That seems fine. Not stiff. Not stiff. Not binding. I don't hear anything grinding. It spins freely. So I'll leave that for now. The cooling fan. Well, one spins freely. This one. A little bit stiff. And if you turn it this way, you get like a ratcheting sound. This one doesn't. But a new one's like 170 bucks, so it's like, well, I'll just take my chances on this one for now. So, let me put the new radiator in and we'll be back. Alright, got the radiator out. Looking at the new one, see, this is the condenser clip right here. This is what this screws into the condenser. A little bit of a lip right there. So looking at this one, you gotta lift up the condenser first. You basically lift the condenser up a little bit, get it off the radiator, then the radiator can come up. So once the radiator goes in, then this will sit in that little bracket. Alright. This is your AC condenser, so obviously you don't want to damage this. So anyway, here's the old radiator. You can see through it, but you can also tell where it's clogged. Well, not clogged, but you can tell it's dirty here. But most of the part you can see right through it. You know, oil from the transmission. Filler cap, upper hose, lower hose down here. And I said over here, this is where it drains. I even pulled this out. You're supposed to loosen this. You're not supposed to take it out. It sits in there. And it's supposed to drain out the bottom. It refuses to drain. Little bitty hole right there. And I try sticking a screwdriver in there and it just gets stuck. It comes out rust color, but it won't. You gotta twist it and stuff. So something's clogged in here. So I have to pry this off and we'll see. A little rust there. So, the new one doesn't have this foam. Not that it matters anyway, it's probably just like a filter or something. Don't think it matters. So let's go put the new one in. Alright, new radiator is in. Got the oil cooler lines with the transmission hooked up, clipped in, rubber caps on. It didn't come with the rubber bushings at the bottom, so I had to put those on from the old one. They don't quite go on all the way because the friction. I even tried WD-40. They didn't want to quite go on. They came off no problem. I had to put WD-40 on here. I'm twisting it the best I can. One went on further than the other on the new one. The new one came with a new one of these. Didn't come with the foam, but the hell with it. I ain't bothering with that. Fuck it. Probably detects a damper or something. So I gotta bike up to Advanced Auto Parts because this thing ain't running yet. Get some water pump gasket material. Here's the new pump. As you can see here, nice and shiny. This is what they included. This little thingy here. So I gotta get some gasket material. So I'm gonna run off and get that, and I'll be back. Alright, pump is in. Got some silicone stuff on there. Got all the bolts in. They're not tight, just kind of snug. It's according to the directions on the sealer here. Permatex water pump and thermostat housing material. According to the directions, so it should be clean and dry. 1/16 to 1/4 inch bead of silicone on one surface surrounding all bolt holes. Assemble parts immediately while silicone is still wet. Finger tighten until material begins to squeeze out. Let dry for 1 hour, then tighten to torque specifications. And allow 24 hours to dry before filling it up with water and running it. Now the directions on the water pump say both sides of the gasket. So I got two of these things and I just put one on both sides. This is the little shit here, small thing. Specialized formula. So I put one on both sides. It's wet, just not so it's all in my hands and shit. It's somewhat snug. I let it dry. I'll finish putting the radiator fans in and everything else on here. So I got to put the new thermostat in anyway. And it should be dry enough by then, and I can torque it down. Obviously, I can't put any antifreeze in it today, so it'll be tomorrow that I actually test it, like tomorrow night, because I gotta let it sit for 24 hours. So hopefully after that, she'll run, and hopefully I won't have any leaks. So let me finish putting the radiator fans back in, put the thermostat back in, put everything else assembled, and we'll be back as progress progresses. All right, fan is in and mounted. That was a pain in the ass. Like this side to go in and that side didn't want to go in. Shuttling back and forth. Finally I had to force it, and finally it slid into the track. So this is now mounted and bolted, plugged back in. Got the new thermostat in. This is bolted back on. Everything back here is reconnected. Just got to rehook up the throttle body hose and air filter basket. Now I gotta get a ratchet strap, put these forward so I can bolt them back down. Starting to get tacky, the silicone. Starting to get a bit tacky. You can zoom in. That stuff oozing out. Getting a bit tacky. Probably another hour and it'll be ready to be tightened down fully. And again, I gotta let it sit for 24 hours before I can actually put stuff on it, so I'll let it dry. Got a new radiator cap I put on, it didn't come with that. So I'm making progress. New radiator, new pump, and new thermostat are installed. It's got a bunch of little pieces I gotta put in. So, let's get the majority of it assembled, and then I'll probably call it a night. Alright. End of Saturday is about 9:10 at night. Done all I can. Probably 99% put back together. Support bars are back in here. Radiator says all bolted. Engine mounts are back in. That bar is back in. All that's left is the battery, the lower hose, the plastic spoiler under here, the serpentine belt and belt guard. I don't know if I'm going to do it Sunday or not. It's supposed to rain and stuff, and I want to put the security lights up. So it might be another weekend before I finish it. But I'm at least maybe try and get the belt on, fill it with coolant. Hopefully it doesn't leak. There's one bolt on this pump. I don't know if it's just slightly too long, and some of the bolts were like different lengths. I didn't pay attention to that. They all tightened. At least it feels like they all tightened. Except for one, I can kind of like feel a little bit of threads out. It won't go no tighter, but I got a lot of that goopy stuff on. Except you got the goop, then you got like the cardboard washer, then some more goop. If it does leak, I'll just slap more shit on it. So, Everything's back together. Air filters reassembled, throttle body, upper hoses clamped on. I didn't put the new ones in, fuck it. The overflow hose is back attached. So I got a new overflow tank ordered, but it won't be here for probably another week, but that'll go back in for now. Upper hoses, heater hoses are back attached. So, depending on what happens tomorrow, at least maybe try and get the pulley on it, get the belt on it. I'm not gonna probably not gonna be able to fill it up with coolant. It's supposed to let it sit for 24 hours, so it probably wouldn't be till Monday when I get off of work. I can at least fill it. I got tons of 50-50, so I can at least fill it with 50-50 and see if it holds. If it has pressure, if it doesn't leak. New thermostat's in. So, really, that's it. This bolt over here, though, you can see it if I can zoom in. That won't go no tighter, but that's where it came out of. But it was a pain to get it out, and it's a pain to go back in, so I ain't gonna mess with it. It's probably rusty. So, I apologize for my shitty camera work. But, got a new radiator cap, too, I got put in it. Top off the oil for the top off the transmission fluid. I still got to do an oil change and filter.